Hi guys, it's Nyla Dar here from Love Now TV, helping you to transform fear to love and reminding you of how much you've got going for you. So in this video, I want to share the impact of your relationships with feelings, and in particular feelings that you don't like, and how they affect you and how they affect your relationships. So last weekend, I went to this event to celebrate the great Persian poet Rumi, and I ended up doing a poetry workshop. And in the workshop, we read some of his poetry, and in one of the poems, we were asked to take one of his lines and then use it to create a poem of our own, and in whatever context. So I'm going to share with you the poem I wrote just because it's relevant to the point I'm making. So the line I took was, "Be grateful for whoever comes." And I found myself dedicating this poem to feelings. Okay, so here's the poem. Be grateful for whoever comes. Make no exceptions. Exclude no emotion, each one respect. Hear, feel, love. Let acceptance be your guide. Choose love over fear. Accept fear. Be tender and gentle with each one. They are your friends, your guides, your allies, your protectors. Understand and recognize each one. Be curious of what it's here to teach you. Welcome its lesson. Listen to its sounds. Listen to its sounds. Judge nothing. Feel each sensation. Feel each vibration. Be grateful for whoever comes. Learn to recognize who shows up when, in what circumstances, with which people. See its intention, see its goodness, know that they are your inner family. Reject no one. Be grateful for whoever comes. They bring their origins, they bring their stories, they bring their memories, they bring their triggers, they want to be felt, accepted, held, and embraced. Be grateful for whoever comes. Okay, so that was my poem. I wrote it just quickly, without too much thought. And then, we shared in the group. But when I shared it, in the middle of sharing, I started crying. And then, again, I stopped and then I started crying again. And I was actually really embarrassed because I didn't know what was going on, and I didn't feel emotionally when I wrote it, but here I was when I was sharing it. I just went, I kind of lost the plot, and I was crying, and anyway, that happened. And then at the end, we were given the word separation, and we had to just use that word in whichever way it showed up. So I then wrote this, and I wrote separation. Ideas, concepts, beliefs separate us. Religion, cultures, and society separate us. Our color separates us. Our conditioning and programming separates us. Our desires, wants, and needs separate us. My God is not better than yours. You don't have to be Muslim for me to love you. Love accepts all. Love respects all. Love unites us all. Separation is the playground of the ego, feeling superior or inferior, wanting to be right, others to be wrong. It thrives on fear, focusing on the past or future. It needs an enemy to project all its fears and beliefs. Love accepts all. Love respects all. Love unites us all. Okay. Again, words that made sense to me. I wrote very quickly, no emotion in terms of, you know, when I was doing it. And then when it came to sharing, the same thing happened. I shared and I started crying, but this time it's a bigger group and I cried more and I was uncontrollable and I was mortified because it was one of those cries where you just can't stop, and then on and on it went, and I was embarrassed. We were like, bloody hell, what, you're losing it. So, but that's what happened. And so when I went home, I reflected on it. I thought, what was going on? And then here's the insight I had. I realized I dedicated a poem to feelings, about accepting all feelings. But when crying showed up, I totally rejected it. I didn't want to cry. And sure, I didn't want to cry in front of other people. But when I reflected on my relationship with crying, I saw why. That growing up as a child, my mother would cry very easily. And as a child, I think I would get very distressed every time she got upset about something and she cried. And I know that when it even came to the sexual abuse, I didn't tell her because I didn't want to distress her and I didn't want to see her cry. So I never told. But it was also something I decided belonged to her, that she did the crying. I somehow didn't want to be like that, and growing up as an adult, I sort of had pride in being strong and resourceful and capable. And if there were times, which of course I'm human, there are times when I cried about something privately, and when I did cry, I would get really worried because I made it into a big thing. Like if I'm crying, it's something really big and bad. And so I would make crying this thing that was huge. And really, when I wrote both the poem for the feelings, accepting feelings and then separation, I was separated and not accepting of crying. And crying is no different to different to laughing, really. It's a form of release, but I made it into such a big deal. And I think that's what we do with a feeling. We can make it into such a big deal. And you could do that with sadness. You could do that with depression. As soon as one of those feelings show up that you don't like, that you've got some history with, that you've put some meaning and association, you'll make it into a huge thing. You'll reject it. You'll think, sometimes people feel depressed and they think, once I'm depressed, I'm not going to get out of it. And for me, it was like when I cry, I'm going to go down and I'm not going to get back up. But it's not true. It's just the meaning and association that we've made with that particular feeling. And it usually has a history and a past that you're afraid of. But all feelings in of themselves are really neutral. They come from a thought we're having, and the thought produces a corresponding feeling. That's the science of it. But when we've got history, meaning, association, then when a certain feeling comes up, it's like we put up the cross and go, no, not that feeling. And there I was sharing about acceptance and welcoming. And so in the end, it was actually very healing because it gave me this insight and I was able to welcome. I was able to welcome it and say, that's okay. That's okay. You're welcome. So, it's emotional to talk about it because it's still new to be able to be that okay with the crying. But I think it's so important to notice which feeling you do that with. within yourself or with someone else, or that there's a feeling that your mother or father, you know, express, and you go, I'm not going to be like that, but you've kind of unconsciously taken it on board, but now you're rejecting of it because you don't want to be like that. And the truth is, when you don't know something or you don't own it, it owns you and is in charge of you. So, you know, you can have a feeling that you end up trying to deny, to avoid, suppress. And then if you see it in someone else, you're going to have a lot of reactions to it. So it's good to know, what is the feeling I can't handle? What's the feeling I don't want? What's the feeling I maybe judge other people for? And how can I be okay with it and make it just another feeling and have a healthy relationship with it? See, it was emotional, but what can you do? That's life, and that's how we are with feeling. I hope this video was helpful in some way, and if you like the videos, please subscribe to the channel, and thank you for listening. I appreciate it. Bye for now.